Okay, hello, my friends. Checking in to number one, see if you can hear my voice, and number two, see my screen. So type in the chat, open up that chat, go down to the controls on Zoom. If you don't see the chat, click on the three dots where it says more, look for the chat feature. Let me know that you can hear me. Let me know you can see my screen. And also tell me where you're tuning in from. Excellent. The earlier call this month is to accommodate some of my European students. So I'm wondering how this is going to work out for the rest of you. California, New Mexico, Sweden, excellent. Texas, Indiana, excellent. Nevada, Massachusetts, the Blue Ridge, I love it. All right, Baltimore, Vancouver, Washington State, Texas, Seattle, Massachusetts, California. So tell me that you can see the screen okay? Actually, it's interesting. I'm watching the chat go by. I assume that you can see New York City and Georgia. All right. New Hampshire. I was just on the phone with a woman from New Hampshire. How cool is that? New York City. Let me see. Let me catch up here. Pennsylvania. South Hero, Vermont. That's on Lake Champlain. Is the lake still frozen, Patty? All right. California, British Columbia, I do believe. Chicago, partially frozen. Yes, cold. Florida. Well done, Glenn. You found the chat button. Perfect. We have someone here from Paris. Excellent. Santa Cruz Mountains, Australia. Tessa, I think I just sent you an email the other day, Tessa. Virginia Beach. I'm actually in Florida right now, so I snuck out of Vermont to get away from that frozen cold weather. And so Jim is here. Excellent, Jim. You got the link. Excellent. I've got an exciting coaching call. I just want to give it a couple more minutes, make sure we get everybody on. We're in Florida. I'm in Venice, Florida right now. Santa Fe, New Mexico. So tell me, jump in the chat. Tell me where you're tuning in from. Hollywood, Florida, Long Island. Hey, Robert. Thrilled to have you on the call. We got a great coaching call coming up. Oregon, Las Vegas. Hey, John, good to have you on the call. Ireland, Diane, Minneapolis, all right. Hey, Jeff, Ohio, Virginia. I'm missing a beautiful day in Vermont. Yes, the weather in Vermont's been amazing. As soon as I got down to Florida. Billings, Montana, that's qhat. Are you from Billings? Is that because no one knows where Clark is? Boulder, all right. Gloria's in San Diego. Hey, Gloria, glad to have you here. Gloria and I have been on some inner circle coaching calls recently. Austin, Texas. Okay, couple more. Let's see. Anyone else from, typically we have someone from Japan. Maybe it's just too middle of the night there right now. Excellent. Miami. Anyone from Australia? I think I saw an Australia go by. All right. That's so funny, qhat. That's right. I knew you were getting your truck worked on. Good luck with that. All right. Okay, so let's jump into this coaching call. Let me get this chat out of the way. I'm going to shut that off so I can't see the chat for, I'll turn it on and off just so you know. I think I'm going to change these coaching calls and start calling them Marketing with David, live Marketing with David. How do you like that? Oh, actually, let me just pop this chat open real quick one more time. I want to take a quick poll. Does this time work better for you? So just give me a quick, let's see how many yeses and nos come in. Awesome. Kind of makes sense that whoever's on the call might be leaning more towards yes. I did see a few no's go by. Okay, excellent. All right, cool. Well, we got a bunch of people on the call, so good chance this might be better. It works better for me. So I like to give you the best value I can possibly give you on these coaching calls. And so I think my stamina, let's say, is better at 4 in the afternoon than at 7 at night. Okay. All right, cool. All right, let's jump into this call. All right, what did I do? I blocked my window. Bear with me a second. Okay, so on today's coaching call, we're going to go over ninja targeting. And let me preface this by saying the reason we're going over targeting, and we're going to get very precise here on this call. We're going to get into some really powerful tools inside of Ads Manager. The reason we're doing this is because I've been doing a lot of this one-on-one coaching with my inner circle clients. And if you want to find out more about the inner circle, send me an email. Okay, I didn't set up a link or anything. I have one space became available. And so if you're interested in that, I'll put my email address in the chat real quick and send me an email. But we've been doing a lot of deep dives and some very interesting specific targeting and use of these tools. And so I wanted to share that with you on this coaching call because I'm even doing some new things in my ad account because of what I've uncovered through these one-on-ones. So the inner circle, Gloria's chiming in right now saying I've found so much value in the inner circle. It's just, it's amazing what happens. We do a couple of things where I'm absolutely just holding your hand and we're going through things. But because of the atmosphere and the things that we're touching on, lots of revelations happen and we get to execute on those. So anyway, it's really cool. So if you want to dig into that with me, send me an email. Okay, so precision targeting, customer avatar targeting, call it whatever you want to call it. This coaching call is going to teach you how to find your exact customers. I'm going to show you how to properly set up multiple ad sets with multiple ads, all for the purpose of dialing in your ad spend so that you maximize your reach to the right people. Most people will never use the Facebook and Instagram platforms in the way that allows them to maximize the power of the AI and the algorithms that run these platforms. But you're not like most people, and that's why you're on this coaching call. All right, so let's get into this so I can show you this power. The first thing I want to cover, and I've covered this before, is understanding your customer avatar. The customer avatar is your perfect customer, their age, their gender, their likes, their dislikes, their interests, where they live, they work, where they vacation, their hobbies, the music they listen to, the cars they drive, the job title they have, on and on it goes. Now, I've got a customer avatar worksheet. This is in the course, but I'm going to also hook it up to this coaching call. Okay, this will help you as we go through the coaching call. One of the tricks that I like to use when determining my customer avatar, it's a trick that I call, but no one else would. My ideal customer would read this book when no one else would. They would subscribe to this magazine, but no one else would. If they had the chance, they would attend this conference, but no one else would. So you're getting the picture here? Now, obviously, it's not about absolutely no one else would, but thinking about your customer avatar this way will allow you to really niche down your targeting. The idea is to find the niche books, magazines, blogs, conferences, gurus, etc., that your ideal customer would be attracted to. And then this part is critical. Build out several audiences and test them all. For example, if let's say you're in the golf product market, you would not want to target Tiger Woods as an interest. I mean, you could, but it's a little generic. Tiger is someone that even non-golfers know about. Instead, choosing a more niche golfer like Rory McIlroy, that will allow you to hone in on your ideal customer and exclude everyone else. In order to separate this customer avatar from everyone else on the planet, you need to niche down. Look for the things that they read or that they do that no one else would. For example, let's say you're a painter and your paintings have a spiritual significance to them, or you would consider your customer avatar to be in the mindfulness niche. you would want to target influencers or gurus in this niche. Now, you could target somebody like Oprah Winfrey, but that would be way too broad. A better targeting choice would be Wayne Dyer or Eckhart Tolle. The idea is to niche down enough so that you aren't including anyone outside your customer avatar circle. Now, why does this matter? You're trying to weed out the people who aren't a perfect fit. When targeting your ads, you need to be able to build an audience that's made up of your customer avatar only. So you're going to be looking for books, events, other information sources that only your customer avatar would care about. And to do that, you want to cast a narrow net. So I use Google to search for information that only my avatar would care about. I search things like top authors, books that they would read, magazines, websites, conferences, retreats, vacation destinations, music, gurus, on and on it goes. Armed with your customer avatar information, we can create several audiences to target in Ads Manager. And that's what we're going to do next. And remember, we want to create several of these audiences so that we can test the audiences and find the winning audiences. So let's go into Ads Manager. Let me first check before I start doing a lot of moving around. Just quickly give me in the chat. You can hear me fine, see my screen fine. We've got a lot of people on the call now. I just want to make sure everything's going smooth. Excellent. Let me show you a shortcut to Ads Manager. Okay, one of the shortcuts to Ads Manager is to simply type into your browser. Let me get this chat out of the way right here. https://business.facebook.com/ads manager, and then you can even do manage if you want. All right, but let me jump in here. Let's see if we can get to Ads Manager the easy way. Okay, so what I've done is I've come into Ads Manager and I started to create an ad. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to focus on targeting. I have a lot of teaching in the course, how to come in and create the campaign. You would click on the green button, create. I believe I chose an engagement campaign. I can't remember. I can go back and check right here. Okay, so I chose engagement. Okay, I chose post engagement, and then I went into the ad set level. All right, so now we're in the ad set level and we're targeting. And I want to show you how we do this. So first of all, if you're building out this campaign, you're going to set your budget. I set this one for $2 a day. I typically don't set an end date because I like to just turn them off when I don't want them to run. I come down to the audience section. You'll see that these are all blocks, right? So there's a block here, and then we get into another block titled audience. And in this audience block, it actually goes down quite a ways because I've built this out a little bit, and it goes all the way to here. Bear with me a second. Okay, so it comes down to here to where it says save audience. I haven't saved it yet because I want to show you some of these things. All right, so let's go up to the very first category. What happens is when you come in here and you start building out this audience, you're going to have this box right here. You won't have any of these interests listed yet. You'll have a box that you get to start typing in. All right, and so what I've done with this audience is I started with contemporary art, and then I went and looked for contemporary artists. All right, I wanted to see if I could find some really unique, famous, modern, or current rather, artists that would come up as interests. So what I did was I simply went to Google and I searched, let me get this out of the way. I searched contemporary artists. and I found a really cool article that was the 30 most popular artists of today. As I went through this article, I found some names that were interesting to test. I also found names that were being referenced. See if I can show you one real quick, like right here. So Cecil Brown is often compared to, and then we have a couple of, it's Kooning and Bacon. So I used both of those names. And as I went through this article, I found artists that if I was painting in this style, this is who I would target. So let me show you how I did that in here. So you'll see these artists are right here. Now these are artist names that I would not have thought of on my own. I would not have thought to type them in here. And that's why I tell you, using Google to do this customer avatar research is really beneficial. So you want to search for things that make sense for your customer. Okay, so in this particular example, I'm using not only contemporary art and abstract art, but I'm also using some specific artists. Now, this is not typically how I would layer a campaign, but what I wanted you to see is I wanted you to see how to search on the internet to find some artist names. And I would actually use these artist names as a limiting category, right? So what I mean by that is if I was really building out this campaign and I was going to limit it to certain artists, I would start with abstract art and contemporary art because those are very large audiences. And then I would narrow further and I would list the artists that made sense. So since I don't know every single contemporary artist that would match a certain painting style, I just wanted to do this generally because I know that all of you artists out there are going to be able to easily go to the internet, search something that makes sense for your style work, and then start digging deep on some of these artist names. Okay, so now let me show you the next step. So we're going to start with generally what we do, contemporary art, abstract art. Then you would narrow further with artist names. But then the very next thing you're going to do is narrow further for some other categories. And again, remember what we're doing. We're trying to narrow down by the interests that we've listed for a customer avatar. These people are fans of this type of art, but they're also interested in this. They also travel here. They also read these books. They also listen to this kind of music. Those are the types of things. And what you're doing is you're actually selecting a button that says narrow further. Okay, so clicking this button underneath this box. So there's always this interest box and then a narrow further box or button. So let me come back up here because I've done this a few times. So I clicked the narrow further button right here, and that tells us must also match this next category. Now, this category is very specific. All right, this is what I would call an interior design category, but it's more than just interior design. It's very specific interior design, right? These are high-end interior design magazines. Anyone who knows about or subscribes to these magazines are absolutely high-end people, okay? And that's why I choose these magazines. You could narrow further or narrow this more by eliminating some of the more general interests, right? So I put a lot of them in here because I wanted you to see how many different ones you can choose. But I also want you to understand you can make this more narrow. And that's what I mean by telling you that you want to create several audiences. So this audience, when I finish creating this audience, I'm going to label it kind of, even though it's a smaller number, it's not 2 million people or more, it's only 830,000, it still is relatively broad in my art category, in my interior design category. I can absolutely get tighter on this targeting. So I would just give it a name that's going to allow me to understand what I did here. And then I would make a version of this audience, and I'm going to show you all this today. I would make a version of this audience that eliminates the broad categories. So I would take out interior design, and I would also take out, that might be the only thing I take out. Okay, and I might take out a few of the more popular magazine titles and keep the real obscure ones, the ones that maybe other people have not heard about. You know, again, go back to that question I told you about earlier, which is my customer avatar would subscribe to this magazine, but no one else would. Now, I've never heard of some of these magazines. I've heard of Dwell, but I've not heard of this one here. In fact, I don't even know how to pronounce that one. Okay. So I've not heard of that magazine, but when I looked at that magazine, I knew it was perfect for art collectors. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to fill this second category. And remember, so what we're trying to do with people who are interested in our type of art, now they're interested in interior design. Okay. And the way I found those magazines, by the way, was a Google search. All right. So a Google search, I landed on this category, was kind of cool. Top 20 high-end interior designs magazines and media. And there was a lot to choose from in here. And so as I started looking at the magazines, I grabbed some names, I put them into interest targeting to see if they would come up. And lo and behold, a lot of them came up. And so it gave us a really good category. Now, I clicked on the next button that said must also match or narrow the audience. And the very next category I want to do here is art collecting category. Now, if you've been with me a while, you know that there are a lot of things that I use for making sure I have art collectors in my audience. Typically, I use Sotheby's and Christie's Art Auction House. But in this example, I'm not using those, and I'm sticking with places where I know people go to purchase art, okay? And not necessarily just the extremely high-end art that you would find at Christie's and Sotheby's. So I've got magazine titles. Some of these magazines I had never heard of before. I also have festivals, and mostly magazines, but also festivals. I had never heard of this magazine. I had heard of this, but this festival, but I had forgotten about it. Okay, so all of these have come from, again, a Google search. All right, so what I did was I searched, I forget exactly what I searched, but I landed on that page. I searched art collecting magazines. Okay, so I wanted to see what I'd find when I did that. You're going to find lots of things. I always look for kind of top 10. Okay, so I went to top 10. I started looking at what these magazines were all about, and then I started checking to see if I could find those as an interest. Okay, and that's what I did here. Now, again, we can get more specific by taking the more general ones out of here, like maybe art news or art review. This category actually is not a magazine. This is just an interest of artwork collection. Okay, that's a 2 million person audience worldwide. So I might eliminate that if I want to tighten this audience up. That's the art collecting category. Next, I wanted to make this audience a little unique. Okay, something a little bit different to what I've shown you in the past. And so what I want in this audience is I want people who are, what I started with this category, all right? So remember, I clicked narrow audience, must also match. What I wanted in this category was early adopters. I wanted people who are looking for something new. That's basically what my thought process was. Who's out there looking for a new artist? I collect art, but I'm looking for a new artist. I'm looking for something different, something that maybe not everyone knows about. And so I thought to myself, what category is that? What does that say about my customer avatar? And this is what I came up with. And this is an audience I want to test. And so I started with early adopter. And then I was working with someone recently who does film and prints from film. And so I started looking at film festivals, independent film, Sundance Film Festival. There's a bunch of other film festivals out there that you can put in here. And I love this category. I think it's an excellent qualifying category. If you think about the type of people that are going to be in this audience now that we just created, this category here, they must also match this category. They must also match this category. And then I did an exclude category, okay? I always tell you to exclude artists, and then I typically exclude photographers, especially if you are a photographer, okay? The cool thing is, if you do your targeting right, when you hit the exclude category, your audience size will not change. because if you do your targeting right, in most cases, you've already eliminated these people because these people are not your customers. And if you've narrowed down properly, this number over here will not change. So we can test that. I seem to remember that it did not change when I did the exclude. So I'm going to cancel all these and we'll see if that 830,000 changes. Okay, so it doesn't change. And so even though I would still put the exclude category in, the good sign is that the audience size did not change, which means my targeting is spot on for my customer avatar. And that is an art collector who's interested in interior design, contemporary or abstract art, okay? And is in this unique category of early adopter, looking for something new and interesting, okay? So let me pop in the chat. I'm going to show you some more things, but I want to make sure everyone's still tracking with me. Okay, so let me know if, just in the chat, does this make sense? Okay, so a lot of yes and a couple I'm lost. Excellent. Someone did say it makes sense if you have a style. Even if you don't have a style, you can skip the style part and look for art collectors. Okay, there's all kinds of things to target. All right, I'm going to turn the chat off for a second. I'm going to pop out of it anyway, and I want to show you more. Okay, so let's talk about building out these audiences. What do we do next? So we've created this audience. Let's fill in the exclude category. I'm just going to put in fine artist for now. And I'm doing it as a job title, not as an interest, okay? Because fine artist as an interest is something, I don't have it in up here because it's too broad, but it's not something I want to exclude, okay? You follow me on that? You do not want to check this box. And what you want to do here is you want to click Save Audience. When I save this audience, I would label it so I'm going to do contempt art / art collector film festival. All right, just so I know what I've got going on here. Now, what I did age bracket wise, 18 to 65, I did that for a reason. I'm gonna tell you about that in a minute. All right, so I'm gonna save that audience. Now, this is how I want you to build out your campaigns. So we came into a campaign, we chose engagement. We came to the ad set level, we created an ad set. Okay, you would come down here, you would actually do placements. The way I teach placements is I like to serve my ads, for the most part, on Facebook and Instagram, news feeds, and then stories. Now, this is an engagement campaign, so it's not going to be shown on stories. So it's a little bit different than a traffic campaign. And again, I teach on all these campaigns in module 5 of the course. So we're serving this ad to news feeds only, Instagram and Facebook. And that's because we don't like our ads to look like ads. We want our ads to look like organic content. Okay, so I'm gonna come down here and we're gonna leave this optimized for post engagement. And then we're gonna click next. Now, when you build out a campaign, you wanna build all the way through before you start duplicating and changing audiences. Okay, so this is an ad. I'm gonna call this ad an image ad. Okay, now basically, and if I would label it something that made sense for me. But what I want you to do is run 3 different ads inside of each campaign, right? So now this is something that I'm teaching in the inner circle, and I touch on this in module 5 of the course, but I don't go real deep because I don't like to get real complicated in the ad creation process. But in the inner circle, I've been getting a little complicated. And to be honest with you, it's not that complicated, but I want you to understand the reason why. When you start testing audiences and ad creative, okay, so that's what you're doing with the ad. Is it going to be an image? Is it going to be a video? Is it going to be a slideshow? Is it going to be an existing post? When you start testing these things, you can quickly determine what's working and what's not working, and you can scale faster, and you can save a lot of money, and you can increase sales by seeing these things. When you're only running one thing to one audience, you have very little data to go on, okay? So that's why we're doing multiple ad sets. All right, so what I did here was I clicked on create ad. I came down here, I put a customer testimonial for my ad copy. I've told many of you in the past that I like to use customer testimonials for my ad copy. And I like to let the algorithm help me here. If you click add options, you can put extra ad copy. I believe you can do up to 5 of these. So let's just I'm gonna throw an extra one in here. Actually, it doesn't really matter at this point, but anyway, you can add 5 of these, okay? And then you want to put I was able to put a button, call to action button. So I clicked the drop down menu, I chose shop now, and I put my website address, okay? And that's right here. And that's it, okay? Now I could click publish if I was all set, ready to go. Now what I want to show you is we're going to go back to, actually, we're going to do it right here first. We're going to duplicate this ad. We want to put something else. We want to share something different. So we're going to click these 3 dots. We're going to click quickly duplicate. And what's going to happen is you're going to get a duplicate ad. You're going to see, if you scroll to the top, it's going to say image shop. That's the label I gave the other ad. And it says the word copy. So you know you're in the copy version. There's the regular version. Here's the copy version. You know you're in the copy version because it says copy, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the word copy so I never get confused. And I'm just going to label this one video. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to change. I'm just going to click clear all. I'm going to click add media. I'm going to click add video. Now, if I have videos that I've used in the past, they're going to show up here. If I don't have videos in here or I don't have the one I want, I'm going to click upload, and that's going to open my computer and I can grab a video from there. Okay, so I'm going to just grab a video and I'm going to click next. Then I'm going to click done. I'm going to go with that size and configuration, and I'm going to leave the copy alone just because I don't have a bunch of things to paste in there from a document. If you have a bunch of customer testimonials that you've saved, and that's what I recommend you do, open up a document, keep all your customer testimonials in one place so that when you're creating ads, you can just go to that document, copy some of that information, and copy one of those testimonials and just paste them right in here. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a button on this, a shop now button, and I'm going to put my website address in here. Okay, so I've got shop now, I've got a video. All right, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go back up to the image. So that one's all set. If I was going to run this ad, I would click publish. I'm going to go back up to image. I'm going to click the 3 dots. I'm going to click quickly duplicate. It's going to give me another copy of that image ad. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to leave the word copy, and I'm going to, actually, let's call it this one. Let's do this one. Let's do a slideshow. Okay, so I'm going to call it slideshow. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to click I'm actually going to just click change media because my slideshow is actually a video. All right, so that's going to allow me to change the video. Well, look at that. We're going to clear all. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot I was in the image. I thought I was in the video copy. Okay, so we were in the image. We're making it a slideshow. We cleared all. We're going to add media. We're going to add video. Inside my video account, I do have a couple of slideshows. So I'm just grab. This one's not going to run on Instagram. That's what that little triangle means. So let me see if I can find one. All right, so this is a slideshow here. I'm going to grab that one. That's going to run on Instagram. Okay, so I'm just going to click done. I'm going to leave the copy the same. And again, if you wanted to, you could add different customer testimonials. So you're testing not only a different image or a different creative style, but you're also testing different ad copy. Okay, you can even type in, your own if you want to test customer testimonials versus your own ad copy. This is where you would do that. And also another place to do that is to put it right here. So if you want to type out your own ad copy that you think it's going to work well, test it in here as an option. The algorithm tests all of these and it ends up serving the one that works the best. Okay, so this is a smart place to just put all your copy in here, 4 or 5. You can do 5 of them. Okay, so I just found that right there. You can do 5 of them. Just do that one time, and then you don't have to change it for each one of these creatives. So let me put my website in here. You would think I'd have that on a text expander, and I probably do, but I can't remember the code. Okay, so here's what we've done. We have 3 separate ads for this one campaign. We have one ad set. So take a look over here on the left-hand side. We have a slideshow, we have an image, we have a video. That's what we're going to test in this campaign. It's going to one audience. So now let's go back to the ad set. We're going to click up here. It's going to bring us back to the ad set level. And in this ad set, we're going to go down and take a look at this. And we're going to duplicate this ad set. And we're going to put a different audience in here. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to click duplicate, quickly duplicate. And there's the copy that has all 3 ads. So the reason you build out the ads first, and I've made this mistake several times in the past of building out the duplicate ad set before I do the ads, is then I have to go build the ads again. So you go through the process all the way, start to finish first, and then kind of go backwards. So you make all the ads, then go back to the ad set and duplicate. Does that make sense? You jump in the chat for a second, see if you're all tracking with me. Does that make sense? Excellent. All right, let me get out of this. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to adjust this audience. Now, sometimes you can actually duplicate the audience. That's not an option right now, so I'm going to click on edit this audience. And what I want to do is I basically want to edit the age. Okay, I want to split this age out. Now, before I do this, I want to show you why. Okay, so we're going to jump a little bit here. Before we finish this, we're going to jump over to my ad account. I'm going to go into some of my campaigns that are currently running, and I want to show you something. So I'm going to choose this campaign and this campaign. So I'm selecting 2. I'm going to the ad set level so I can kind of isolate the 2. Okay, so here they are right here. They're running at $1 a day. I'm looking at a 30-day window. All right, so take a look up here on the top right. You'll see 30 days. You'll see I'm getting an amazing customer acquisition cost. So I'm paying $1.76, $1.93 to get someone to make a purchase on my website. All right, so it's amazing. Those are incredible numbers. Average sale on my website is somewhere around $100, so a little more than $100. So that's just absolutely amazing, right? However, I need to know what's really going on inside these audiences. And the way to do that is to look at this breakdown. Now, I've talked about this before, but I want to really talk about this in depth on this call. We're going to click on age. So we went to delivery, and then we went to age. And I want you to see what happens now. So now we're looking at these age brackets: 25 to 34, 35 to 44, 45 to 54, 55 to 64, 65 plus. Those are the brackets. Now, if we go over to the cost per result, we're going to quickly find that I've got some differences here. So I've got nothing going on kind of in the low end. I probably am not even targeting this age bracket, maybe 30. I might be 30 plus on this campaign, I'm not sure. But in the last 30 days, we don't have a sale here, but we also, I want you to focus on two things: how much I'm paying for a customer in these brackets. And then I also want you to focus on how much money Facebook is deciding to spend in these categories. So remember, I targeted the whole age range, and I can't control the budget on that range. I can only control the budget on the entire campaign. The algorithm spends the budget according to what it thinks it should spend, where it should spend. So if you want more money spent in a lower category, you've got to do something about that. And why might you want to do that? And I'll show you that in a second. So these numbers are, even though they're all pretty close, 55 to 64 is the best, $1.21. And in this other campaign, 45 to 54 is the best at $1.28. Now, another thing I like to look at in my campaigns is I start at a 30-day window, and then I select a 14-day window, and I look at what's going on there. Okay, now this is very interesting because now I have 77 cents per customer acquisition cost in the 55 to 64 range, and yet I'm paying $1.30, $1.29. So I'm paying almost double for the other age categories. And then if you come down here, I have a couple of age categories in this campaign where I'm paying almost $5 for a customer and $3.90. And so these are lower here. And then I would check one more thing here, and that is 7 days. So I go down to 7 days just to see if I have anything, I haven't spent enough money there. In 7 days, it's kind of interesting. On this campaign, 65 plus is 49 cents per customer. Okay, so having looked at this, I would make some decisions of how I want to split up my age groups. Okay, and so what I would do, we're going to come back over to this audience that we're editing, and we would simply take, if we determine by doing that analysis that I just showed you, we determine that our age brackets, in order to properly spend our money, we want to spend more money in the lower age brackets because we're getting some good customer acquisition costs or good cost per result. The way to spread that spend is to split up this audience. And so I'm going to change this age to, first of all, I can keep this the low age. So we'll start with 18 and we'll go up to, we'll make this the lower half, we'll go up to 44. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this audience. I'm going to save as new. I'm going to give it a name. So it's 18 to 44, contemporary art, interior design. You get the picture, right? So we're going to save this. And now we need to make another version of this. And the other version is going to be the higher age bracket. So this ad set is going to be 18 to 44. And then we're going to go back to this ad set, the original one, and we're going to change this audience Right here, we're going to edit this audience, and we're going to make this the upper half of this 45 to 65 plus. And we're going to actually save this as a new audience so that we don't mess up the other audience that we just created. So this is going to be 45 to 65 plus. This was a new audience. And let me just show this to you real quick. I'm going to change this for the ad set name, 45 to 65 plus. Okay, so now let me just publish that so that change stays. Hopefully this one stayed. Okay, so we have 18 to 44, 45 to 65, all delivering to the same interest targeting. However, we split the age. And now let me show you what this looks like. So I'm going to get out of this. See if it lets me out. There we go. So we're not going to publish everything. And I've got this one campaign selected. It's the one I call Test for Kent. And I'm going to go into the ad sets. So what we have is we have in this one campaign, we have 2 ad sets. And then if I click on the ad tab, we have a total of 6 ads. All right. Each ad set has the same 3 ads. And now when this is delivering, we're going to be able to look at the cost per result, and we're going to be able to see which ad is getting the better cost per result. We're going to be able to see which ad set is getting the better cost per result. And that's going to allow us to change budgets. The one that's better is going to get more budget. The one that's not as good, I might reduce the budget, I might turn it off, I might tweak the ages. We could go into, let's say we go into the breakdown and we look at delivery by age, and we determine that this probably isn't going to show me anything because it's not running yet. But if we determine that a certain age bracket is working, we would come into this audience and tweak those ages and turn off some of the ages so that we are just honed in on exactly the ones that are producing for us. Okay, does that make sense? Let me jump into chat and see if this is making sense to you. I go 7 days. Rose wants to know how many days before I tweak. I always go 7 days before I make any adjustments. Excellent. All right, now let me show you how to. A question in the chat is, how often do I make new ads? I actually don't make them that often. This is one of those things that once you get some ads that are working, you don't have to do it too often. So, I mean, right now I make ads maybe every 6 months at the most. And yes, I would look at the ad creative to see which ones I might eliminate. If the slideshow is not working, I would eliminate it. And you certainly can target holidays and birthdays and those types of things. Let me show you some of that. Okay, so let me show you how to quickly change audiences. Okay, let's go back. Let me get this chat out of the way. So you would go into, I like to just go into my ad, my campaign. And I go into the ad set. Let's say we wanted to do a third audience. Okay, so a third ad set. What we've done here, actually, let's do 2 more ad sets. This would make sense. So what I would do is we have 18 to 44. We're going to click quickly duplicate. So this is the younger half of that nicely targeted audience. This is called copy 2. And what we're going to call this one, we're going to leave copy 2 there. I'm going to call this one broad version. Okay, so we're going to make this audience a little broader. And so the way we're going to do that is we're going to go into this audience. So remember, the age is already set. We're going to eliminate some of these restrictive names up here. So I'm going to take all these artists out. I'm going to leave abstract art. I'm going to take out the artist names, and we're going to do contemporary art. I'm going to look at my audience size. So we're 500,000 people. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate this whole category. Okay, so I'm going to just go much broader because we're going to experiment. All right, so we're going to name that, we're going to save this as a new audience. Let me just, I don't always know if it saves that name, so we're going to copy that just in case we need it. We're going to save as a new audience. Okay, and we already, actually we want to label this broad. We're going to eliminate the film festival, so okay, then we're going to save. And then you would also click publish. And so now we're going to do the easiest way to adjust this now. Let me show you this real quick. Once that publishes, we just adjusted the targeting on this. So we're going to actually take this one and we're going to, once it's ready, so we're going to take this broad audience. We're going to quickly duplicate that one. And we have 18 to 44, contemporary art, broad audience, copy to, all these copies, right? So we already adjusted the interests. All we have to adjust now is the age. So we're going to edit this. We're going to start at 44 and go to 65 plus. Just like that. We're going to save as new. And this is going to be '65 plus. Okay, and by the way, it has 1,400,000 people in that audience. And it's only half of our, oh, I'm sorry, 570,000. Let's see what the other one had. The other one probably had 1,400,000. Okay, so you're 1,400,000 here. I forgot the name. I changed the audience, but I did not change the ad set. So bear with me 1 second. This is 44 to 65 plus. Okay, so let me publish that. Now what we've done is we've created a campaign that we're serving to basically two different audiences. And within those two audiences, we broke out the age group so that we get our ad spend to spread over both halves of the age bracket, if you will. All right, the 18 to 44, 44 to 65. One audience is tighter than the other, and each one of these audiences, each one of these ad sets has 3 identical ads in it. Okay, and so that's, let me just refresh this page so that you can see all that show up. That's how you set up a campaign the way I would set it up if you were working with me in the inner circle, and we would have the ability to test things. Okay, that's the reason we're doing this is so that we can test. We want to be able to test multiple things. All right, so everything's here. Let me show you what that looks like when you come into Ads Manager now. So we're going to close that, and we have one campaign selected. We're looking at the ad sets right here. Okay, so there's 4 ad sets, which means there's 2 audiences. We've split the age in half on each one. And then if you click the ads, you're going to see that we have 3 ads for each ad set. Now, this may look like a whole bunch of stuff you have to look at, but it's really not that bad once you come in here after 7 days go by, and all you have to do is you look at cost per result. So you're going to look at cost per result for your ads. You're going to look at cost per result for your ad set right here. And that's it. You're going to make some decisions based on that. You're going to learn which one of these audiences is doing better. That's how you create a campaign with multiple ad sets and multiple ads. All right, let me jump into chat for a second because I want to show you a couple of other things. So first of all, is this making sense? So Tom wants to know if there's another result variable other than cost as the dependent result variable, such as joined an email list or time on screen. I like to use cost, Tom, because it's really the most important. How much are you paying? The cost per result is, in my case, when I was showing you my other campaign, I was showing you the cost per result for a purchase. But the cost per result is always showing you based on what the campaign was set up for. So in this example that I've been building for us here today, the cost per result is going to be post engagement. So we're going to be looking at 0.001 or 0.03, 0.02 cents for engagement on a post. So cost per result is based on what result are we looking at? It's based on how you built the campaign. Was it engagement? Was it a conversion? Was it a traffic campaign? If you make a traffic campaign, the cost per result will be a landing page view, okay? Now, Deborah has a question, do I use campaign budget optimization? And the answer is yes, if you're gonna do multiple ad sets. And what that does, if you set up your campaigns with the budget at the campaign level, let me show you that. If we click on create campaign and create a new campaign, let's say we're gonna do a traffic campaign, sending traffic to the website. We're gonna click continue. On the second page, what you would do here, this is the campaign level, ad set level, ad level, campaign level. We're on the campaign level right here. You come down here, you turn on campaign budget optimization. And what that means is I'll set the budget here. And let's say I set it for, let's say I know I'm going to have 4 ad sets. Each ad set needs at least $1 a day to spend, okay? So I'm going to do $4 a day. And now when I go into the ad set level and I create the 4 ad sets, the algorithm will determine which ad set gets the most spend. Okay, so it's going to be based on, so it's self-optimizing. If you set the budget at the ad set level, obviously the campaign can't optimize which ad set is doing best. Each ad set will have the same budget, or it will have whatever budget you decide, okay? So sometimes I use campaign optimization. Sometimes I do it at the ad set level. The one we set up today, I'd set at the ad set level. And the reason for that is because I want to determine through analysis which ad set to turn up the budget on and which ad set to turn down. Okay, so I'm not, I'm just circumventing the algorithm. So that's the other way to do it. All right, so we got a whole bunch of yeses, and I'm just looking at chat real quick. There's really, Joanne wants to know if it's better to make general broad ad first and then create more specific. There's really no rule of thumb. My instinct on it is to always go very specific first and then test broad. When you're testing broad, you have to remember what you're counting on there is for the algorithm to do its job. So the algorithm is always trying to find your customers. And it does that by interaction and finding more people like the people who are interacting. Now, I know you say it's a lot to digest. That's why I record these calls. And Marcia wants to know if I am always have ads running. I do. I always have ads running, a lot of times just at $1 a day. Okay. All right, now I want to show you a couple other things. I want to show you another place to build audiences, because one of the things we're talking about today is we're talking about our customer avatar and what that looks like, doing some Google search and kind of building that out. And so instead of doing it inside of an ad, okay, inside of a campaign, you can actually do it ahead of time by going to your in Ads Manager. You go up to the top left, click on Business Tools, click on Audiences. Once Audiences opens up, I've taken you in here many times on coaching calls to make custom audiences and lookalike audiences. This time, we're going to click in here to create an audience, and we're going to create a saved audience. Now, what we do is we name the audience. Okay, so this, so we'll name it Coaching Call Test. And then we're going to come down, and you'll notice all these boxes are going to be the same as what you see inside the ad creation process at the ad set level. So we're going to start with United States. We're going to set our age. Now, we've already determined that we like to split our ages up. We're going to set this as, let's say 18, let's say 20. We maybe we've learned some things through running some ads that we want this to be 25 to 44. And maybe we learned that we only want to serve ads to women. Okay. Next thing we do is we go into this detailed targeting box. This is where all the interest targeting happens. And so let's target for a wildlife photographer like qhat out in Wyoming. So let's do some pretty big, broad interest targeting to start with. Okay, so I've got some pretty good broad interest right here, right? Let's just take a look at the audience size. So we're 4 million people, and that's in this age bracket. We actually want to do both genders because that would not be applicable for this audience. So now we're 8,700,000. Okay, next thing you want to do is narrow audience. So let's just narrow with a quick interior design category. The algorithm knew where I was going next. Isn't that interesting? So let's do some high-end interior design magazines. Let's see what our numbers are. So we're 1,800,000. All right. So I could pick some more, and we'll just, I think we'll leave it at that. I just want to show you a couple things. So now I want to narrow further. This time we're going to, let's do the art festivals. Let's grab some of these so we know these are people that are interested in collecting art. Let's get a few of these that make sense. And again, I expect you to be spending more time on this than I am. I don't want to bore you on these calls. So I just want to make sure I have people who are absolutely interested in collecting art And let's see what our audience size is. All right, 230,000. Now, what I want to do is I want to go really specific on this. Okay, so this audience name would actually be very specific. If any of you know qhat, she shoots a lot of images of lots of pictures of buffalo, okay, in Yellowstone. So I want to narrow further, and I want to make sure I have buffalo people. And I don't know if it comes up as buffalo or bison. So let's just check here. I'm pretty sure it's bison, unless we're looking for buffalo wings. Okay, so bison, probably not bison hunting. And then actually, if you choose bison and then you click suggestions, you're going to get Yellowstone. All right, so I'm going to stop right there because I want this to be a very specific audience. Okay, so we talked a minute ago about whether or not to be broad or specific. Now remember, we're doing half the age basically. We have 26,000 people. So what I would do is I would save this audience. Okay, so this one is, let's just click save, create and save. And then I can go in and I can edit this and then save as new. Okay, so that's another way to do it. Let's see if I can. I just want to see if I can save as new. I can. Okay, so I can edit this now and change the age. So I would go up to 45. This is just a quick way to build out your audiences and have them ready for you when you're ready to run ads. So this is, I should have labeled the other one, but this would be 45 to 65 plus. Okay, and then we're going to save as new. Just don't click update because then it wipes out your other one. Save as new and save. Okay, so now we just created 2 new audiences. Oops, saving it more than once. Anyway, we created 2 new audiences. One's lower age bracket, one's the higher age bracket. And those are sitting in here. Now, when you go into an ad, to create an ad, create a campaign, you go into Ads Manager. Actually, let me just, Coaching Call test. You gotta remember the name of the audience. I have a lot of audiences. So we'll go into Ads Manager. If we were going to create, so it's a good place to go and build a lot of audiences is what I'm showing you this for. That way you don't have to keep creating ads that you're not going to run or you're not ready to run and you think you have to wait. So let's just click on engagement. Let's click on continue. I'll show you where you find these audiences. It becomes real easy. You go to the ad set level. Okay, and now you would go to use a saved audience. And if it's not there right away, you can, there it is right there. So I'm going to grab that one and boom, there's your audience. Okay, you can edit from here. If you want to edit it, if you realize, okay, that's the one I wanted to use, but I forgot to do the age group. Or let's say I used this one in I'm going to use this one, but I forgot that I also want to do a broad version of this. So then I'm going to duplicate the ad set. So you can do all that right within the campaign. All right. So that's how you create an audience inside of Audience Manager. All right. Okay. Let me jump into chat. See how everyone is doing. Okay, so audience size, I love to serve ads to audiences that are 2 million. And then I also like to serve ads to audiences that are 23,000. It all depends on what I'm doing, okay? It's just so important to test these things. The beautiful thing about the power of these platforms is that you can get in front of your exact customers. That's the beauty of the Facebook and Instagram platform. And so being really exact with some of your audiences is something you absolutely want to test. So you're testing them at $1 a day for 7 days to see if you've done something magical with an audience. If you think about it, if you target an artist that is so similar to your style, and you target art collectors and you target luxury goods and these interesting categories of early adopters and film festivals and international travelers and all of the different things that you can target, it's going to be amazing what you find. We're talking about you being able to get in front of the exact people that want to purchase your work. Those people are out there. It's very easy to find them. But in order to find them, you have to play around with your targeting, create these audiences, and then test them. Now, remember, you always have the algorithm on your side. The algorithm's always trying to find your customers within your targeted audience. So it does that by interaction. As people interact with your ads, the algorithm will look at 1,200 data points on each person to determine who it should be serving the ad to inside of your audience, right? So it's constantly self-optimizing, but you can also do some really smart targeting. It can't optimize something you didn't already give it. So that's why I like to create my audiences and then watch them like a hawk to see what kind of results I'm getting. So Joanne wants to know, is it a good idea to specify art galleries that specialize in your type of art? Yes, that would be good. Any artists, any famous artists that are similar to your style, art galleries for sure. Also must match means, yes, at least one of the interests in that box, Joanne. Excellent. Now I want to show you a targeting tool that I use that is outside of Facebook. And it's pretty interesting. It's a tool called, it's an app actually, but it's called Interest Explorer. Type in the chat if you can still see my screen okay. It's kind of an interesting tool. Excellent. Okay. All right, so this tool, it's called Interest Explorer. It's a real basic tool. All right, so what I did was, it has just this I can't remember if I had to pay for this, but it's app dot, actually, let me just put it in the chat. If I paid for it, it's incredibly inexpensive. So check into it and I'll show you what it does. It finds you interest that don't always pop up on, I think it works on PCs too. Okay, Deborah got it recently. It's 97 bucks, and that's for lifetime access. So anyway, it finds you interests that don't always pop up inside of Facebook Ads Manager. So what I typed in before was gardening. Okay, so this is what we're looking at right now. We're looking at results for gardening. And what's interesting, what I love about this tool is it, at a glance, right, it's showing me all of these different interests that come up. And at a glance, I can see what the audience size is. And I can see if people have been searching. I can click on Google here and I can look at the results here. Not so much if people have been searching, but what else comes up similar. The other thing I like about it is that it shows me things in such a big view that I can get new ideas. So for example, when I'm targeting my fans, I don't always think to use National Gardening Association. That's a great idea. So I could take that. If I saw this and I said, wow, that's really cool. So is this bonsai garden art. That's a real specific category. I'd love to use that. When you click on these, what happens is it loads, it starts to create a list for you that you can export and use inside your campaigns. But I would take a look at this, then I would also click Google and I would see what else comes up. And so it's just going to give you idea after idea after idea of what to target. And so we could type in here, let's type in modern art. Did it not take? Oh, come on. It was giving me trouble earlier today. Not exactly sure why. Give it one more shot here. Okay, so it took modern art, and here's what it's giving me. So as I scroll down here, I'm going to find things that I may not have thought about. And I'm going to check into whether or not I want to use these. So this is just an extra tool that is going to just, a lot of getting targeting right is all about getting yourself to think outside the box and think about things that you may not have thought about. Now, here's an interesting one right here. You have modern dance. That I have a sister-in-law who is an oil painter, and she paints a lot of ballerinas. And so, not that I would target modern dance, but this would have reminded me to target dance categories. And then maybe I would start looking for performance things, people that go to performances to watch that type of dance. And so it gets you thinking in a way that you're not going to be thinking just when you're inside Ads Manager. So that's kind of what I like about it. So let me move this chat because it's just so many cool things. Museum of Contemporary Art, Basel, that's interesting. I've not seen that one come up like that before. Here it is in Australia. I know I have a lot of students in Australia. So think about this, targeting people who are interested in the Museum of Contemporary Art, Australia. Okay, so very specific, right? Classic art, the classic art. That's really interesting. I'd have to Google that to see exactly what do we mean by the classic art. Are we just talking about the classics? And again, that's not something that I would have typed into Ads Manager. I would not have typed the classic art, but that's an interesting thing to consider. Let's just jump in and see if it comes up. I'll do this real quick and then we'll move on with this coaching call. Yeah, there must be a Chrome extension. I agree with you. So let's create a saved audience really quick. I just want to see if the classic art does indeed come up as detailed targeting. And it does, which it sure better because that's what this tool is all about. All right, so this is a perfect example of how the tool works. All right, I'm inside this tool. It's given me all these ideas that I would not have thought of while I'm inside Ads Manager. And so because of that, it allows you to really get very specific, very creative with your audiences as you build them out. Okay, there's just so many good things in here. I mean, conceptual art, I wouldn't have thought of that. And then layering these things. I'm sure there's some artists out there that minimalism would be a really good category to layer with your targeting. All right, excellent. Let me move on. I think I've talked enough about that. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do this a little different than most of the coaching calls. I'm going to jump into chat here. And before I go into the questions that came in ahead of time, I'm going to ask for, we'll see if I can keep up with the questions in the chat. Now, there is a question in the chat that says, can Interest Explorer give you geographically located results? And the answer to that question is, I don't know, but it doesn't matter because you just choose your interest and then you geographically locate with your targeting anyway. So it's going, if you choose an interest, it will find you everyone in Australia who has that interest. And then, as you saw, some of the interests are going to be geographically specific. And I'm not an affiliate for Interest Explorer, but I probably should be. I will put the link in the chat again. Bear with me a sec. And yes, absolutely, recordings available for this coaching call. Okay, so Caroline Masters wants me to put glass art in here. So we'll do that. We'll see if it works. Okay, it did. Okay, so you have Museum of Glass, you have glass engraving, glass tiles, studio glass, glass blowing. It's going to be very interesting. SWOON, swoon artist. So an artist, last name probably Swoon, probably a glass artist. You could Google that real quick. Okay, so here you are right here. Very interesting. I'd have to dig into that. Printmaking, sculpture, stop motion animation. Pretty interesting. Might be a glass artist, probably a glass artist. So that's what I'm talking about. So this swoon comes up as an interest you can target. And so isn't that interesting? Absolutely amazing. I love tools like this that make your life easier. And what like I said earlier, the key here is being able to find things that you wouldn't have thought to target. And that's how you get in front of the right people. Okay. Okay, so the question in the chat is, if you run an ad a second time with the same audience parameters, does Facebook send the ad out to the same people? Pretty much. I mean, when you have an audience that's, let's say, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million strong, in theory, the ad is it takes a while to get to all those people. And so it is going to, there's a lot of people in an audience that big. Okay, so Marcia says, I think I'm missing something. If you type in an artist name, what benefit do I get since I'm eliminating them anyway in a campaign? It all depends. I mean, if I wanted to target that glass artist, people who are interested in her. So it's not that I'm targeting her, I'm targeting people who are interested in her. So I would never target artists in general. I want to eliminate artists, but I don't want to eliminate. There are a lot of people buying from that artist. They might also buy from you. Okay, in fact, chances are really good they'll buy from you if you are creating similar work. Most artists don't know how to market. So you can find famous artists out there who don't know how to market, and you can get all of the people who are interested in them. You can show your work to them every single day, whereas that artist is probably not doing that. Okay, so Glenn and Keith, okay, you're referencing them. Okay. Anyone who wants to work with me one-on-one, remember to send me an email and we can do this if you want some help in the ads manager. Okay, as an artist, a jewelry artist, instead of magazines and museums, would shops be a good thing to look at? Yeah, shops would. And then for jewelry artists, I always look for fashion things. Okay, so there are a lot of fashion magazines that make sense. And so it's internet research. Okay, it's going online and starting to search magazines for jewelry, not jewelry making, but jewelry fashion design. That's absolutely what I'm looking for. You might even find museums that are applicable, but it would be something very specific. All right, any more questions in the chat? I'm going to come back to the chat. And right after I start going to the questions that came in ahead of time. So let's go to those. All right, so Deborah. Okay, Deborah's just mentioning she may or may not make the call. Christina, finding high-end art collectors in different states and countries. Okay, that's pretty much what we covered today, is finding those high-end art collectors. I typically go for the entire nation. I don't, unless I'm targeting for an event, like a gallery opening or a show that I'm going to be at, I don't limit my targeting to cities or zip codes unless I'm targeting wealthy zip codes. You can target zip codes that are, you know, top 5%, top 25% of income earners. And you can also target high-end, high net worth individuals. That's another interest that comes up. So keep that in mind. High net worth individuals is an interest that comes up. All right, so not typing, come on. Just so you all remember that. I guess it did post, okay. Okay, so we are in our 70s trying to understand technology, how to market, pricing, what we do. We also teach in class the Bob Ross method of painting with hands-on help. That's very cool. Excellent. I don't see a question there, so I'm going to move on. Tessa wants to know how to prioritize in Facebook or Instagram. Now, what I do with my Instagram is I serve ads on Instagram. Okay, I allow all my posts to post on Instagram, and I serve my ads on Instagram. Other than that, I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram. However, that is not the case for all of my students. A lot of my students are doing things on Instagram, and I teach on that in the course. So, you know, it all depends on where you think your fans are. If you think you have more action on Instagram, spend more time on Instagram. You should absolutely at least be allowing your posts to go to Instagram, and you should be advertising on Instagram. Okay, so Joanne in the chat wants to know, is it best to start out with a single ad campaign? That's how I teach it in the course, Joanne. But to be honest with you, it's best to start out testing. Okay, so test 2 ad sets and at least 2 ads in a campaign, because then you get things to compare right away. Okay, so Marka is saying that I'm trying to target gallery gift shop owners who buy American crafts wholesale. There's got to be a way to drill down on that. And there certainly is. You just have to do some research. Okay, so, you know, it's going to start with, you know, business owners, small business owners. And then you're going to have a category of, I don't know if gift shop comes up. You're going to have to check that. So you could take gift shop as a term, plug it into interest expander, interest explorer. Should be called interest expander, huh? So I'm going to put gift shop in there. Okay, and let's see what we come up with. Looks a little bit odd. Specialty gifts, special gifts. There's going to be some things. Here you go. Gift shop comes up, right? So gift shop is an interest. So it's just a matter of experimenting and digging around the internet. Okay, so Marguerite is saying, just want to clarify, to test audiences, you should not allow Facebook to prioritize. How do you mean? By setting the campaign budget optimization, I think is what you mean. I like to be honest with you, I experiment. Sometimes, like I said earlier, sometimes I set campaign budget optimization. Sometimes I optimize my ad sets by myself. I prefer to do it by myself because I want to see the data. but I'm not saying that the campaign optimization doesn't work, because it actually does work. So it depends on how much time I have to devote to this. Sometimes I'll set up a campaign that I know I'm not going to be able to go in and look at. So I'll set up the campaign, optimize the budget at the campaign level. I'll put 2 ad sets in it. I'll put 2 ads in each ad set, and I'll let it just optimize itself. So John, the answer to your question is, I believe it's module 1, lesson 2 or 3. It's real early on in module 1. I teach you how to allow your Facebook post to go to Instagram. Okay, so let me move on. If you've been on these coaching calls before, you know I always get stuck inside these questions. Okay, Jim wants to know, could you please briefly talk about retargeting campaigns? I've had a lot of people that visit my site, stay on there for a long time, lots of pages. They also return 3 or 4 times. Okay, so you feel you're priming the pump. So retargeting, Jim, yes. The best way to do retargeting, I teach on this, or I taught on this in a coaching call. So go into the coaching call archives inside the course and go to the coaching call that was in April. Okay, April, what I taught on in April was creating custom audiences. So the custom audiences are the audiences that you're going to retarget. Okay, even though I teach on making lookalike audiences as well, custom audiences are audiences like everyone who's ever visited my website, everyone who's ever went to this page of my website, everyone who's ever added something to a cart, everyone who's ever made a purchase. Okay, all those different things. Then you can do everyone who's ever watched a certain video, everyone who's watched this much of a video, everyone who's ever been on my Facebook page. There are all these different warm, they're called warm audiences, because these people, they've interacted with you already at different levels. Retargeting them, you could retarget all of them in a single campaign. But watch this coaching call, April 22nd. There's the link inside the archives. Okay, I'm jumping into chat for a second. The way to get people from Instagram, and if you're looking for email addresses from Instagram, is to basically do what I teach in the course about asking people to sign up to be on your VIP list. And so getting people to the VIP list, I teach extensively on that in the course. I'm doing that all the time from Facebook to and Instagram. I'm getting those folks to come on into my VIP list. How to target the right customers. That's what this coaching call is all about. All right, Paul wants to know, hi David, what's the difference, please, between standard conversion events as designated by Facebook and custom conversion events as designated by us as the user, which is better to use for our purposes? All right, so standard conversion events are things that are just kind of ubiquitous with all websites, such as page view, view content, add to cart, purchase, initiate checkout. Okay, so those are the standard events. There are, I think, 5 to 8 standard events. A custom event, a custom conversion event would be visiting a specific page or clicking a specific button. So if you were to go to my website and let's say I wanted to set up a custom conversion for, everyone who actually selected, let's just pick a design, everyone who selected this design. Like, not sure if this is gonna, okay. So that button, that click that I just did, I can actually, or this URL up here in the browser, I could take this URL and I can make a custom conversion for this. And I could name it accordingly. Everyone who viewed my green Victorian hanging water garden. Okay, and then I could create a custom audience from those conversions, and I could target them later on with a specific ad. So a custom conversion comes into play when you want to be very specific about an interaction on your website. So this happens with, let's say you're an artist and you are a painter and you also make jewelry like Deborah does. So you have paintings, you have jewelry on the website. You might want to have a custom conversion for everyone who clicks into the jewelry category. Let's say you're an artist and you have prints available, you have originals, you have commission work. You may want to create a custom conversion for everyone who clicks into your commission link on your page. So custom conversions are about things that are more specific to your particular website. All right, Paul wants to know, what's the difference between, that's the same question. All right, Diane wants to know, how do you get people to like your business page itself rather than just liking the post on it? By asking them, okay? So create a video, create a real organic video that says, hey, like my page so that you see the things that I'm posting. If you don't like the page and follow the page, you're not going to be able to see everything I'm doing. So create an organic video and put it on your page, pin it to the top of your page, and just remind people to do that. It really is kind of a reminder. I used to make, in the old days, a couple of years ago, I used to make videos that I would go right to my Facebook page and I would make a screen flow and I would show my fans how to click on the button, click this button, click get notifications, and then I would post that video on my page to my fans, okay? And then you can even turn it into an ad and get people to like your page. And yes, there is a recording of this call. Okay, so let's try and move through these questions here. George wants to know, what's the best strategy to marketing both an ebook and a paperback? Well, I would not have a different strategy for either there other than maybe audience design. So for example, I would build out 2 audiences. Okay, so if you really want to split that, I would build out 2 audiences. One would have a category that focuses on ebook. Okay, there's a whole bunch. I do a lot of book marketing, so there's a whole bunch of interest targeting to do for ebooks. There's ebook readers, there's audiobooks, there's I'm sorry, not audiobooks, but there's Kindle, there's the Nook thing, there's all kinds of ebook things, interests. And then on the other audience, I would not have the ebook category. I would have a paperback category, and then I would put bookstores. I would actually have bookstores in the interest targeting, people who want to hold a physical book in their hand. So I would create 2 audiences at least, and each one would be labeled accordingly. Okay, Andy wants to know, last summer, he says, you helped me get my Facebook page launched. I created custom broad audience, worked well for 6 months, generated a fan base. I already have 3,000 followers. This audience, I would pick up nearly 100 fans a week just by boosting a post, until suddenly, since around inauguration day, I could barely pick up 10 reactions. I would just create a new audience. It probably just needs to be refreshed. So that's what I would do. And I would do it based on some of the things you learned today, because you can get really niche down now. All right, Deborah wants to know, I recently turned a good performing post into an ad with a view content objective. Okay, cool. So that's a conversion campaign for view content. And for those of you who don't know what that is, view content is one step deeper than landing on your homepage. So that's a good conversion event to set up a campaign for, because that means you're telling the algorithm to find people who are going deeper in the website rather than just landing on the homepage. All right. I started at $5 a day to get traction with the intention of reducing to $1 a day, having it run long term. Haven't reduced it yet. It's still $5 a day. There's an error message I got from Facebook. It's not generating enough view content. Okay, so here's the deal. In order for a conversion campaign to work, whatever conversion you're optimizing for, in this case, view content, you have to have 50 of those conversions in a week in order for it to work. The way to figure out how many conversions you have for any given event is to go into your pixel area of your account. So follow me here. We're in Ads Manager. We're top left underneath the house, clicking on the business tools. We're going to Events Manager. If it's not in your shortcuts, it's in the list. Okay. So Events Manager, when you go into Events Manager to figure out if you're going to be able to set up a conversion campaign for a particular event, you are going to look at your pixel activity here. Let me just get rid of this chat for a second. So we're looking at the last 28 days of my pixel activity on my website, okay? And what you're going to see is page view, 15,000. View category, 1,500. View content, which is a little bit deeper than view. It's very similar. You could use either one of these, okay? 1,400. All right, so obviously any of these are more than 50 a week. Even my add to cart is more than 50 a week. Even my purchase, that's why I can run purchase conversion campaigns, because I'm more than 50 a week. All right, so 28 days is basically 4 weeks. So you need 200 to make it work. And I've got 240. All right, initiate checkout, 220, which is kind of interesting. There's more purchase than checkout. But anyway, this is where you go. Okay, so you go into Events Manager, pixel area, and if you want to run a conversion campaign, you have to have more than 50 a week. Hopefully that makes sense. Tell me in the chat if that makes sense. Open that chat up. Okay, so Lydia wants to know my assistant and helping with the pixel. Okay, I'm going to put that in the chat, Lydia, okay? Angela is her name, and there's her email address, and she's great to work with. Okay, so let's go back to what Deborah wants to know. I'm not sure what to do since increasing the budget isn't an option. Should I reduce the size? Here's what I would say, Deborah. You'd have to tell me how many view contents you are getting. All right, so if your number is actually pretty good, I would still run the conversion campaign. I would also like to know how much are you paying for view content. All right, so your cost per result is the view content is what you're asking for. You need to be paying somewhere less than 75 cents. I would like to say, I know some of my students are paying less than 20 cents to view content, which is insanely good, but you should be at least less than 75 cents. And if you're less than 75 cents to view content, don't worry about the error or the learning phase, right? It just means it's still learning. It doesn't matter. It's still going to optimize pretty good. All right, so, okay, so your cost per result is $1.20. All right, so I'd like to see it lower. You'd have to look at a 30-day window, 14-day window, 7-day window, and tell me if the number is getting better or worse. If the number is getting better over time, then I wouldn't necessarily turn it off yet. But I'm guessing that you probably only have one ad set with one creative. So I would certainly go into the campaign and do some of the things that we did today on this coaching call. And I would create one or two, if you're still running at $5 a day, I would create a total of 3 ad sets, and I would certainly have 2 to 3 ads in each ad set so that you can start optimizing, okay? I feel like I'm going through these questions really slow. All right, Beth. I had a wonderful coaching call with Beth the other day. How to price prints and original works of art. This is a perfect question for inside the student mastermind. So go ahead, Beth, go right into the student mastermind. Are you on the call today? And post that in there. I'm jumping into chat here for a second. Susanna wants to know, how long should you run ads for to test whether it's effective? I like 7 days, Susanna. I go 7 days and then I take a look and try and learn things after 7 days. Cool. Just looking in the chat. All right. Beth has a follow-up question. If I sold an 18 by 24 print for $1,200, is it possible to or advisable to lower the price if there are not a lot of sales? Pricing seems sort of hard to do. Okay. I don't like the idea of lowering prices. I like the idea of actually raising prices. The better you get at finding your customers, the more you're going to be able to raise your prices. And so again, I would talk to, there's a lot of veteran artists that have been selling the work for years and years and years in the student mastermind. You're going to get a lot of feedback inside the student mastermind. So that's where I would post that question. Hopefully you're on a call or you watch this recording. All right, how do I get on Facebook? That's, oh my gosh, that's in the course. If you're having trouble getting on the course, if you're on a call right now, Serena, let me know, because if you're having trouble getting in the course, but the course takes you through all those steps to get your Facebook page up and running. Karen wants to know, does the 80-20 rule apply to this niche? I'm promoting the company's products, not my own. The 80-20 rule, the thing to remember, let's talk about the 80-20 rule for a second, because I get a lot of questions on this. The 80-20 rule is all about this one specific point, which is you do not want your Facebook feed to look like it's nothing but buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Okay. You want your Facebook feed to represent your work, have places where you're showing people things they can purchase, work that they can buy, but you also want to mix in other things that interest you and your customer avatar, and then other things that are related to your work, but it's not about buy my work. So maybe you went out and you were shopping for some new canvases, or you were looking for some new stained glass and you shot a video of the experience. So that's about your work, but it's not about buy my stuff. That is part of the 80%, right? So I like to post a lot of things about, and I like my artists to post lots of things about who they are and what they're doing as it pertains to their work, but it's not a simple post of go to my website to buy this. So we're just trying to avoid go to my website and buy this as every single post. All right. So it can be a lot of posts about your work as long as every one of them isn't go to my website to buy this. All right. So that's the point. Now, when you get really creative with what you post on your page, and I spent a lot of time teaching this in the course, but when you get really creative, your fans are very appreciative of what you're posting. And I always like to post things that are related to my work. So if I'm a photographer who photographs old trains, I'm going to post about maybe train trips, classic train trips through the Canadian Rockies, or I'm going to find interesting historical stories or blog posts that are going to interest my fans that are also going to be related to the subject matter of my work, right? It's vital that you get creative and you do these types of things, because then your fan base stays with you. And this is what makes a business online sustainable. Okay. Yes, raise your prices. I was in the chat, just checking out the chat. Okay. Rick wants to know, is there a back end way to change my personal profile to my business profile when commenting on or liking the page? You should have that drop down arrow. And let me just see if I can put it in the chat. Okay, so there it is in the chat. There's a video that shows you how to do it. You should be able to do it pretty simply, Rick. It should be there. Okay, Susanna, I just posted it. It's in the chat. Take a look at that video. Tisha wants to know, setting up a website at this moment, and I would like to concentrate, connected to Facebook, but I'm not sure if I should create a Facebook business shop. All right, I would not create a shop or a catalog. I typically don't like to do that. I like to send people to my website. The problem with the shop or the catalog on Facebook is years ago, you used to be able to set up a shop on your Facebook page and have it, when people clicked on the item, it would send them to the website to check out. Now, Facebook likes to run that right through Facebook, which gets really complicated. And the problem with a shop or a catalog on Facebook is it's never going to be as attractive as you can make a website. So even though you can do a shop on Facebook, you can do a catalog, you can make sales, you can sell from your Facebook page. There's all kinds of creative ways to sell your work without a website. Ultimately, a website is the best. So having said that, a website can be something you do in the future if you don't want to do it right now. But I prefer a website. Okay, that's a very good comment inside the chat. It says, my suggestion button does not work in Ads Manager. It's grayed out. What can I do? That happens from time to time. I've been in ad accounts where the suggestion button doesn't work. I have not figured out why that is, but it generally corrects itself. So I would log out of your account. I would log in an incognito tab and see if that clears it up. Okay. Yeah, Rick's saying, I agree with you, Rick, not to do that Facebook shop. You want to bring them to your own website where you control things. Yes. And yeah, do the incognito thing for the trying to get that suggestion, because that suggestion tab is really helpful. It allows you to go much faster inside Ads Manager. Let me just, I'll give you a video on that incognito. Okay, there you go. Okay, next. All right, Robin wants to know, cannot find buttons on either Facebook or PicMonkey or Instagram to change. Works on it while to change the look. No. Okay, Robin, send me an email. My email address is dave7vt@gmail.com, because I'm not sure I totally understand your question. So my email address is in the chat. If you're on the call right now, send me an email and I'll help you with that. But there are a lot of updates in the course, and I have a feeling you're missing one of the updates. And then as far as PicMonkey, if PicMonkey is not working well for you, the other photo editing app that I use is Canva, C-A-N-V-A. And I believe it's canva.com, and you'll see it in the course. And who knows if PicMonkey is changing things last minute. Yeah, okay. So I'm doing a update, Robin, right now for PicMonkey. So I'll be having that inserted into the course in probably the next 10 days. So keep your eyes out for that. I will look into that specific problem that you're having and see if I can address that in that update. All right, cool. So let me move on. Mary Jane, I'm starting to run ads. My best one had 8,000 views, 700 full watches of the video. That's cool. I would make a custom audience of those 750 people who watched your full video. However, almost no likes. I'm not sending anything, not selling anything yet. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking, Mary Jane, is that I would really like to see your targeting, because as far as I can tell, you're probably not in front of the right people. Yvette is telling me that I missed number 20. Did I really? I thought maybe I missed it. Robin. Okay, this was about 19. Okay, it's number 19. All right. David. Sorry, David. What is the ideal content posting schedule? How many times per day should I be posting to my artist fan page? 5 times. Just looking for a guideline to put into action. Okay, let me tell you the philosophy here. Okay. First of all, in the course, what I teach is at least 3 times a day. But do you really have to do that? Not necessarily. The more posting you do, the more interaction is happening on your page, the more the algorithm is being stimulated, and your page is getting all kinds of good vibes algorithmically wise. Okay. So posting often on your page is helpful for a whole bunch of reasons. It's not just the post, it's not just giving your fans something to look at. So it's helpful. However, we all have lives to live, and it's hard to do all this. So what is more important than how many times a day you post is your consistency with some kind of schedule. Okay, so posting at least once a day is really important. Okay, so if I had to have an absolute bottom, that would be my bottom. If you told me you couldn't even do it that often, I would still tell you you've got to have some kind of consistency. So 3 times a week. But ideally, most people can post once to twice a day, even if it's a simple good morning, good night post. So it's consistency that's important. And you can automate posts. Absolutely. Francine says that. The other thing that you can do is schedule posts. What I like to do is schedule posts, is pick a day once a week and schedule the whole week or 2 weeks. And that makes it so much easier. But 3 times a day is awesome. And if you're scheduling, that's awesome. Cool. Sorry for missing that question. Clicking the button too fast. All right. So we dealt with the PicMonkey thing. We've got an update coming for that, so watch for that. I have something else I want to show you too. So what I said, Mary Jane, is check that audience, okay? Because I got a feeling you really need to do something with the targeting. What happens when, just in general, pay attention to this. In general, if you're getting decent action on a video, on an ad, you think a lot of people are interacting with it, but you're not making sales, you're not getting the page likes, I would question the targeting. So it's kind of like if you're at an event, let's say you went to an art festival and a lot of people are walking by your booth and they're saying, wow, I love your work. Do you have a business card? Your work is amazing, but you're not selling. They're not your customers. They're not your customer avatar. There's something missing, okay? And so, yes, you're getting interaction, you're getting kudos, getting compliments, but you're not making the sales. So you got to tighten up that audience, expand the audience to different interests, get really creative with your targeting. Most people are not targeting the way I discussed in this call today. All right. Most people are not doing that. It's layering, it's getting creative, really creative with your interest targeting. Okay. So that's what I encourage you to do. All right, Jessica. I feel like I'm generally trying to do too much, don't have time for it all. How do you find a balance and know what is the most important thing to be working on? Okay, Jessica, the most important things to work on. I actually went over this in my November coaching call. So I just put it in the chat, and it's my top 10 recommendations of how to move the needle in your business right now. If I was working with you one-on-one and I only had a couple hours to work with you, these are the things that I would do for your business and your brand. All right, so watch that coaching call. All right, next. Sharon wants to know, just getting started, is it best to purchase an email with the name of your business, such as Sharon, instead of a Gmail account? Okay, it is general practice. It is best to have an email that is associated with your website. Okay, and there are some places where that's kind of mandatory, and I forget exactly where that is. Actually, one of the places is inside of MailChimp. If you're using a Gmail account inside of MailChimp, it actually messes up the delivery of your emails. So, rule of thumb, having an email account that's connected to your website is the best course of action. All right. I have boosted several posts now using Ads Manager. Okay. I've reached upwards of 9,000 people with one boost, but it's still not resulting in any sales. Okay. Again, it's about really getting specific with your targeting. Okay. Getting very, very specific in testing those audiences. All right. Another question. I just got a notification from PayPal that Facebook received $25 payment, but I hadn't boosted anything. How does this happen? Go into your billing settings inside of PayPal. I mean, inside of Facebook. I'm sure it was just a delayed. I have never, with all the advertising I do on Facebook, all of the advertising in 4 or 5 different ad accounts, I have never been wrongly billed by Facebook. Never, ever, ever. And I spend a lot of money with Facebook. So I'm sure it's just something that doesn't make sense to you, but I cannot imagine they build for no reason. I've never seen it happen. Okay, just checking the chat real quick. Yeah, I also do use G Suite for a business email. Okay, so Sherry wants to know, do I need a finished website before going to a Facebook business page? No, you can, Sherry, you can sell from your Facebook page. Okay, so it's not about setting up a shop on Facebook, but you can show your work. You can do a Facebook Live. You can tell people that I've been working on this all week, and on Saturday I'm making it available for sale. There's all kinds of creative ways to sell from your Facebook page. You do not need a website, all right? And if you want some creative ideas, post that question in the student mastermind. I don't know who this is, but my products and pricing on the website, do I put prices on Facebook business page also? You can, it all depends. That probably was, okay, I guess it was not Sherry. You certainly can list prices on your Facebook business page, but if you have a website, I would be sending traffic to the website without listing the prices on the Facebook page, just to start getting traffic over there. Let them discover your prices when they get there. Karen wants to know, do I put some or all prices? Okay, that must have been Karen. All right, cool. Yeah, so I would just send them to the website, Karen. Jackie wants to know, when you have a show, what do you do and when to prepare for it? Facebook advertising, snail mail. Okay, cool, Jackie. What I do for shows is I have a whole strategy for shows, and here's how it goes. If any of you are still doing shows and you want to know a really cool strategy, I actually worked with Susanna, who is a potter in Oregon, and she did a recent show, and so we built out kind of a strategy for an ad. The way that I do it is like this. You do a video or a slideshow, ideally a Facebook Live, 7 to 10 days before the event, and you post it on your page, and then you turn it into an ad, and you target the geographical location and the interest targeting that matches your customer avatar. So a 50 to 100 mile radius of the event, target your customer avatar, and run that ad for a couple of days. Then, and the reason I want it to be a video or a slideshow is I want to create a custom audience. I'm going to let it run for a couple of days at maybe a $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 budget, so I get some traction. Then I go in and I make a custom audience of everyone who watched 50% or more of that video. So I make a custom audience of everyone who watched 50% or more of that video. Then I make a lookalike audience. And then I target the lookalike audience in that same geographical location. All right. And the reason I do that is that gives me a bigger audience, and it's built off of an audience of people who paid attention to the video. And then, so you run in a second ad. The second ad is the same video served to a different audience. And that runs up to the day of the show, the day of the event. And then when I'm at the event, I would pull out my phone, film myself at the booth saying, hey, I'm here at this show. It's exciting. Are you coming down? Comment below if you're coming to the event. I'd love to see you. My booth number is 723. Bring me a cup of coffee. and I'll see you at the show, and you're showing what's in your booth. That's the day of the event or on setup day. And then I go into Ads Manager and I turn that into an ad, and I target the lookalike audience as well in that same geographical location. So I might spend $40 or $50 on an ad for a show. Now, I don't do shows anymore, but when I was doing shows, that's what I did. And the cool thing is, when I did this in the way that I just described to you, my sales at the shows were double the the previous year. So it's a dramatic impact to your shows. So give that a try, because it's absolutely amazing. And just listen to the recording of this call to follow that, or send me an email and I'll create a video for you or something. Okay. Karen wants to know how to apply my website link following each post. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You can just type your link in for every post. Okay. And that can be in any post. Some people say that if you put a link in a post, that takes people off Facebook, that it reduces the reach of the post. But I've had great success doing that. So I'm looking at the chat right now. Okay. Dominic, about the MailChimp sign-in form, can the birthday question be replaced by comments? I'm sure, and I would just Google that, because I'm certain that you can eliminate that question. There's no reason that would be mandatory. All right, Terry wants to know, I got this email. Facebook has announced changed all the tracking information Facebook Pixel Conversion API. Yes, the verify your domain. This thing right here. If type in the chat if anyone else has encountered this. It's in reference to the change that's happening with Apple, and I'm going to create a video. I'm actually doing this for my own website this week, and I'm going to be creating a video to show you how to take care of this. We've talked about this a little bit in the student mastermind. Some people have already taken care of it. It's not a big deal, but I'm going to create a walkthrough so you know how to do it. And I was talking with my Facebook rep about a week ago, and I did find out that this is not going to be an issue for until like later in April. Okay, so I will just keep an eye out, Terry. I'll send an email out about this, and I'll post it in the group. And Jim is also telling you that he's got a guy that takes care of this. He charges $15, so he's a freelancer. So you can even use somebody to do it for you, but I will create a video so you know how to do it, and then you can decide how to handle that. Okay, let's see if we can get to the end of these questions. How do you get a Facebook rep? I have that in the course, Alice. Let me show you that real quick. So if you want a Facebook rep, if you go in the course, okay, go down the left-hand side, go into the bonus section. And in the bonus section, you're going to see Facebook Marketing Expert Program. If you click on that, this shows you how to, it's a free service. You know, what they basically try and do is get you to spend money, but they're very helpful. And you could work with them for an hour on the phone, set up an ad, and then turn the ad off. So don't even worry about whether or not, you know, they're very helpful. And plus it gives you kind of inside access to Facebook. So go that route. I have kind of a higher level rep that you have to spend a lot of money with Facebook to get. So, but eventually you'll get there. All right, so Michael, improve conversion. The best thing for improved conversion, Michael, is really testing audiences, testing creative, like we talked about today, and then also testing the conversion events that you want to use. So I would have view content conversion campaigns. I would have add to cart conversion campaigns. I would have purchase conversion campaigns. All right, so all of those are the things that you want to test. Now, before we go any further, I just want to remind you, if anybody wants to work with me in the inner circle, I have one space became available, possibly two. We'll see if a second one will open up. But anyway, if you want to work one-on-one, inner circle, email me like that. All right, so I just put that in the chat. All right, next. Joel, how to find galleries, art fairs, museums receptive to your originality. That's easy, Joel. So you're going to be searching, you're going to be interest targeting art fairs, you're going to be interest targeting museums, you're going to be interest targeting galleries. You're going to layer all that targeting, and you do some really interesting landscape photography. So I would be interest targeting very specific landscape photography interests. So I would have just some dynamite things in there, like maybe National Geographic. I would have lots of different things. Your work is so unique. You have a lot of geography things. I think about geological things when I think about your work. So it's about getting creative. It's about everything we talked about on today's call. Okay, so Kurt wants to know, no questions. Excellent, Kurt. Glad to have you here. Nothing on 37, 38. Ron wants to know, in what order do you work with your filters to get the avatar audience? Start with, then sequentially narrow down. Okay, the way I like to do it, Ron, is I like to start with kind of the largest piece. So for painters, so you're a photographer. For you, what I would start with is kind of let's say you're a wildlife photographer. So I would start with wildlife photography, like I did in that example today. And I would start with that really broad. The very next category would be interior design. The very next category would probably be art collecting. Okay, so I'm looking for people who are collecting fine art. The very next category, I might do something interesting for one of my audiences and do that early adopter thing, okay, like I showed you today. But then at some point, I'm going to plug in subject matter. And I might build out audiences for each subject matter. Like, let's say you do birds. Let's say you do landscape. Let's say you do portrait. Let's say you do commission. I would build an audience for each one. So all the categories would be the same until I got to the qualifying category, and that would be the subject matter. Does that make sense? If you're in the chat, just pop in the chat there. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, getting close. We're losing people. Am I going too long? Susanna, I'd like a better understanding how to analyze how well your ads working or not. We've just ran ads that generate more traffic to the site, but no sales have resulted. Okay, so again, the early on metrics are the cost per result across different ad sets and across age groups. Okay, so you're looking for the best age group and the best ad set, the best audience. And so it's cost per result until you start running conversion campaigns and you can actually get to cost per purchase. All right, so you're looking at the cost per result, and you're staying with the age groups and the audiences that are giving you the best cost per result, and then you're shutting off the other ones. Now, what I would say is if you're not getting sales yet, and if your cost per results are kind of on the high side, like Deborah shared today that she has $1.20 for view content, and if you're not getting purchases, what I would do is I would create new audiences. Because at $1.20, let's take Deborah's example, at $1.20, I'm not happy with that. So I would do a very different audience in that same campaign, trying to get below that $1.20. What's nice about the $1.20 is you have a target now. You know what you have to beat. So you start tightening up your audience, or you get creative with your interest targeting, and you create new audiences to beat that $1.20. So that's how you analyze. You've got to have something to analyze, more than just one ad set, more than just one ad. and then look at the breakout. So remember the breakout we looked at? So you go into Ads Manager and you go to any one of your campaigns. Just look at one here. So click on this one, click on this one. And then what happens is you go to the breakout. I keep calling it breakout. It's breakdown. For me, it's breaking these things out, but it's breakdown. And then you look at your age groups, okay, and look at cost per result so that you can figure out where you're getting the best bang for your buck, okay? And then use that information to help you build new audiences, okay? And you're going to find, what'll happen is you're going to find winning audiences. All right, looks like we have one more question. John, how do you see business page as the visitor sees it? The old way doesn't work. Yeah, you know, this has been bouncing back and forth for whatever reason. And I have not lost it on my Facebook page, but some people have. One workaround, I was talking with a student this morning, and the workaround he's using is he's using a mobile device like an iPad, and he's going to look at his Facebook page on someone else's account. So I think it was his daughter's account, and he would look at his page from her. She's logged into her Facebook on her iPad or her phone, and he looks at his account from that. So that's a workaround until that button comes back. Somebody told me that the button is available still on mobile. One of the things you should pay attention to is what your site does look like on mobile. That goes for your Facebook page and your website. And actually, more importantly, your website, because 80% of your traffic is going to be mobile. Okay, so you want to know what your website looks like on mobile, and you want to know what your Facebook page looks like on mobile. So this is a good excuse to use someone's phone, someone in the family, grab their phone, just go to your Facebook page, go to your website, and see what it's looking like. And that button will come back. That's not a feature Facebook is getting rid of. I talked to my rep about it. It's just Facebook has glitches from time to time. Type in the chat if you ever had a Facebook glitch. I'm going to show you one more thing, and then we're going to call it a day. Okay, so Jesse wants to know, do I have some info specific to people teaching classes looking for students? Yes, that's going to be some really interesting targeting, Jesse. Okay, so I would be looking for people who are, interested in classes, interested in learning, interested in online learning, online education, online painting classes. I'm sure painting classes come up if you do interest targeting. Let's see what comes up. So if I type in painting classes in my interest explorer, oh, is it not giving me? I can't tell if it's a glitch or if that wasn't available. Okay, so painting comes up. All right. So you've got to just play around with some interest targeting for, you can try classes for painting, online, you could certainly just layer targeting online education with painting as a separate, narrow further. So it's really about, what else I would do, Jesse, is I bet you, for example, I bet you Bob Ross comes up. And then if you search Bob Ross, these results seem kind of strange. But if you go into Ads Manager and search Bob Ross and any other well-known painter who does classes, right? That's the kind of thing. Lessons.com, that might come up. Classes for painting. Excellent. Yvette, who are you referencing? He is, oh, Bob Ross is there. Yeah, he must be. He's got to be. I don't know why. Or are you saying he came up in my results? Yeah, he's right there. Boom. Thank you, dear. Yeah, so I'm sure there's, like, it's not Barney and Friends. It's interesting. Oh, I know what it has to do with PBS. Okay. So we're seeing a lot of PBS things show up here. But anyway, Bob Ross would be a good one to do. And there's going to be others. So it really is, it's about what this whole call's been about, which is getting really specific, really smart, really creative with your interest targeting. All right. So play around with the things that we talked about today, create some audiences. It's actually, if you can find the time, it's a really interesting, lost the word, but it's an interesting exercise to go into audiences and just build out some audiences. And you start, what happens when I do it for other students is I get really excited about what I've created because I can tell, holy cow, these are your customers. They absolutely are your customers because of what we just layered here. I was doing some interest targeting before Christmas for one of my students, and we were targeting creative Christmas gifts, really trying to find something unique. And we were finding all kinds of interests that were very niche, and yet they were perfect for somebody looking for the gift for the person who has everything. All right. So anyway, it's a fun exercise to go into audiences and build those out. One last thing, I want to show you one more thing. I was in the student mastermind. My daughter made me a video based on a video that I received from Jim. Okay, so all of you know Jim right here, Jim's Art for All. Jim made me a really quick tutorial on using an app to put your work in rooms. And one of the things I love about this app is it allows you, they have rooms in there. It's a free app. But this post is in the it's in the student mastermind. I can also put it in. I'll put it in the chat too. But what I like about this app is they have rooms to use. Okay, but more importantly, whoa, that's a crazy link. Sorry about that crazy link. Hopefully it works. More importantly, they allow you in this app to upload your own room. Okay, so if you've been hanging around here for any length of time, you know that I'm kind of a fanatic about how amazing your website looks. I want your website to look amazing. So when I talk about in-room shots, I usually talk about finding in-room shots that are amazing. Okay. And so not all of these apps have the amazing rooms that I would personally want to use. And so this particular app allows you to upload your own work, your own room. So you can find, if you go to my course and you dig into the course, you will see that in Module 1, Lesson 2, I give you a bunch of resources to find royalty-free images online. Okay, so there's a ton of resources here. You can go on any one of these websites and find some rooms that are amazing and then upload those rooms to this really handy app and put your work in that room. Okay, so it's really, really cool. Let me show you something really quick. Do you want to see something new? You want to see something cool? Every once in a while, I bump into things that I have to save because I like them. Let's see if I can show you this. Oh, do I remember the web address? Come on. So annoying. I go to this website all the time. It's one of my students. I've showed, if you've been on these calls, you've seen this before, but I want to show you something new. And again, remember, I'm a stickler for having amazing room shots. All right, so let's go. All right, so I want you to see these rooms. All right, now remember, we're matching our customer avatar. Okay, yeah, qhat's someone who's been working hard at finding good rooms. So we're matching our customer avatar, and so if you go to Kaylee's site, so it's kayleejoy.com. If you go to her site, you'll see that her site's all about it's all boho style, all right, bohemian. And the rooms that she's using are just amazing. They're just stunning, just really nailed it with these rooms. And that's what I'm talking about, is getting these room shots so that your customer avatar absolutely connects with this image, right? So when you find the right images, it just makes all the difference. And qhat's asking, where does she get her rooms? I don't know. I don't know, but they're amazing. And they just totally match her vibe. You know, if you look at this one, look at this room. It's just amazing. Actually, she's got several here now. This is like, all these are just in keeping with her vibe. This is what happens when you're doing your website right. This is what it looks like. You've got these images that make your customers say, wow. And it makes them desire having your work in their lives. All right, so nailing those rooms, and it's never been easier to make this happen, especially now that Jim shared this really handy app. And you can Photoshop these things. There's all kinds of ways to make it happen, but this particular app works really well. I like it a lot. And yes, there's lots of, okay, Ellen's saying PicMonkey has rooms. Here's another link that you can use to get some rooms. Laura found some on Etsy. That's great, Laura. If you want to post that resource inside the student mastermind, that would be great, because everyone's looking for good rooms, as they should be, because it's a huge needle mover, if you will, on your website. All right, so that was the last thing I wanted to show you. I want to take you to inside the student mastermind to show you where I posted that. It's also in the course now. So let me show you that. So I put that tutorial in the course. Let's go to the course. I put it in the bonus section under putting your work in situ. So if you click there, you'll see I have all these resources, okay? And then the tutorial right here. Does that make sense? Awesome. Okay, remember, reach out to me if you want to get involved in the inner circle. I'll put my email address in here one more time. Tom has a question. Let's see, for my site, do you recommend having the main shot of the artwork in a room or by itself? I recommend all of the above. Okay, so Tom, I like to see your work. A good site where I can show you this is, hopefully Jim doesn't mind me showing his site. I go to his site a lot because there's some functionality here. So watch this, Tom. So we're on Jim's website right here. Okay, he's got a nice gallery opening at the top. He's got a voiceover where he walks you through the gallery. Then as you scroll, you get down to the categories where you can go into his work. So if we click in, right, so now we're going to see his work in rooms, right? But now we're going to click in deeper. We want to purchase this one. So we're going to start by seeing the work by itself, but then we have all of these other images to look at, so that we're constantly reminded that we want to own this work and we want it in our home. Okay, so absolutely the work by itself, we can click on that. it gets bigger. Then you can scroll over here and see everything in rooms. Okay. It's just really, really, really important to have the in-room shots. Okay, so I've got that tutorial in the course now, in the bonus section under in situ, putting your work in rooms. Okay. All right. Thank you for being on this call. I will see you all inside the Student Mastermind. And if you have any questions, send me an email. I'm answering email all day long. Excellent. I wish you all tremendous success. Share with me some of the cool things that you find when you start building out your audiences. All right. Also post those inside the Student Mastermind. If you come up with a great idea for targeting, something that's just brilliant and you want to share it, go ahead and share it. You might want to keep it to yourself. Who knows? It all depends. Excellent. All right. Thank you, one and all. I'm used to ending these calls in the dark. Finally, well, it's probably dark for some of you. Okay. Excellent. And you will be able to see the recording of this call tomorrow. And yes, Jim, I'll talk with you. Jim and I have a coaching call set up for Saturday. So I'll see you then. And the recording of this call will be in the archives. Now, remember, the coaching calls are down here in the archives. Okay, all the coaching calls are here. Tremendous value in these coaching calls. All right, so you should dig into those older coaching calls. And Caroline, I'm speaking with you on Saturday as well. Yes, yes, yes. Lots of calls scheduled. And qhat, oh my gosh. All my Saturday people are here. I love it. 6:30 p.m. in Trinidad. My goodness. Excellent. All right. Thank you, one and all. Have a wonderful night. Talk to you really, really, really soon. All right. Peace.